Welcome to The Outlet, an OTG production.
Welcome to the NBA Outlet, presented by OTGBasketball.com. My name is Parth Goradia, and joining me as always, Nick Bay, John Aiello. What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me on.
What's up, Parth? Just enjoying some NBA playoff basketball.
Yeah, speaking of the playoffs, we're definitely going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a rebrand bracket that I came up with. Just some teams that need rebrands, whether it's the logos, the floor, the jerseys. We have them all ranked out in a playoff format. We'll go through that, and we'll also talk about some new coaches if we have some time. But before I get into any of that, I wanted to make sure to tell you guys to follow us on Twitter at OTG Basketball. All right, guys, let's get right into the playoffs. John, just give me some thoughts.
Honestly, I haven't watched as much of the playoffs as I'd like, especially a lot of the West Coast games because they start so late and I got to be up early for work the next morning. But I think my thoughts are what you can kind of see just from looking at the stats. I just think every game's been – I mean, some of the games have been competitive. Like I think the Detroit and Cleveland series has been competitive even though it's 3-0. But my immediate thought is that – and I know Charles Barkley suggested this on TNT, and I've been kind of frustrated with it ever since they changed the format. But I think the first two rounds should be best of five. I think a lot of these series, it's kind of a waste that we have to – it's a waste that we have to watch another game of San Antonio and Memphis, and we have to watch another game of Golden State and Houston, and we have to watch another game. It's like these series are over. It's a waste, waste of our time that we have to watch another game, or that the playoffs are dragged out even longer, even though these series are going to be a blowout. And then my other thought is that Toronto, it's a 2-2 series. Paul George is basically single-handedly keeping Indiana in that series, and Toronto has gotten basically nothing from Kyle Lowry, who is an MVP candidate this year, and DeMar DeRozan, who's going to get a max contract regardless of how he plays, just because the market is so terrible this summer and with the rising salary cap. So those are my two big thoughts from playoffs so far.
Yeah, the play of Toronto's backcourt has really stuck out to me. They have not played well. I think Lowry and DeRozan are both shooting in the 30%, so not good for them. And you have to wonder, as like Toronto, being a player there, coach, thinking about the last two seasons and coming up short in the first round, the pressure's definitely on that team.
Yeah, my initial thoughts of the playoffs, I was really excited for it to get underway, but man, it's been a snooze fest so far. It's been so boring, really difficult to watch. I don't think I've watched the game from start to finish yet. I've seen bits and pieces of every single game for the most part, but nothing, not a full game, and thank God I haven't, because it's been incredibly boring.
One series that stuck out to me, that maybe not for the actual play on the court, but the chippiness in the series, is OKC and Dallas. Very chippy series. I mean, Kevin Durant's thrown some elbows. He got ejected the game last night. Just seems like there's a lot of tension. I think Dallas is just overmatched talent-wise, so they're kind of scratching and clawing through the series, and it's getting on OKC's nerves. But it's not a good sign for OKC to show this type of immaturity in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what you said is kind of what I was going to basically say that. But Dallas just does not have the talent to match OKC. So I think their only hopes of even trying to stay alive in the series is what you said. They just don't, basically just kind of being extremely physical and hoping they can get under the skin of OKC. But that play with, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that play with Durant. I don't know if you saw it, Durant hitting Justin Anderson last night. It was the end of the game. I think they were already up 10 points. And it was kind of, Durant seemed really apologetic about it, but at the same time, it seemed like an unnecessary basketball play. They were already up 10 points, and I think Anderson was going for the rebound and then lost the ball. And Durant would basically try to swing down and hit the ball loose, but by that time, Anderson had already lost it. And he just rocked Anderson in the head. So I wanted to see if you guys thought it should be. He earned a flagrant 2 for it, and he got ejected. But I wanted to see what you guys thought about it. I don't know if you see him getting suspended, or if you thought the flagrant 2 was unwarranted or anything like that.
Well, I think I know if he gets any type of flagrant in the rest of the playoffs, he gets like a 1 game ban, I believe.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
just in terms of that, it's kind of dangerous. Like, what if you get a flagrant foul? Because they're handing out flagrant fouls like they're candy, like you mentioned, John. Everyone's getting a flagrant foul for like minimal contact, it seems like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we say it's minimal here watching, but it just doesn't look like a flagrant foul in my opinion. The Durant one specifically, yes, it should have been a flagrant 2. I think they called it correctly. I don't think he should have been swinging in that instance. Like, the game's basically over. Just like if he did it at a different part of the game, I would have been fine with it. Like, sometimes you get hit in the face, like that's basketball, it happens. But I think just risking like the risk outweighed the benefit in that situation with the score the way it was, the time the way it was, and now he puts himself in a vulnerable position in terms of getting another one. Because you can get one at any point, and in the next series, let's say Durant gets one in Game 3, he has to miss Game 4 against the Spurs. Like, that's not a good thing for OKC.
Yeah, and I don't understand what the NBA is trying to do. I mean, I guess they don't want they don't want games to get out of hand, which is why they're giving out so many flagrants. But I mean, it's playoff basketball. It's win or go home. I don't like that they're giving out so many flagrant fouls. It would just basically, I mean, what is a flagrant foul is what? It's like anything that's not. It's like not a basketball play. I don't know. I forget the exact definition, but it's basically not a basketball play. But it's like, this is the playoffs. I mean, I think a lot of these are good plays. I haven't seen anything it's other than Isaiah Thomas hitting, just slapping Dennis Schroeder in the head. I haven't seen anything that's just, I guess out of the ordinary from a typical playoff play.
Yeah. The crazy thing about that play too. Sorry, Nick, didn't mean to cut you off. The crazy thing about that play is the Schroeder and Isaiah Thomas play is that I'm pretty sure Thomas did not get suspended for Game 4.
Yeah, he did not get suspended.
Yeah, and they didn't even issue a technical or a flagrant or anything in the actual live moments of the game. Even going back, I think they only issued like a flagrant 1. So I believe the definition of a flagrant 1 is unnecessary contact, and flagrant 2 is unnecessary and excessive contact.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, but like, I'm pretty sure Zach Randolph got suspended for less against Steven Adams. Like, I think he like tried to punch him but didn't make contact really, like kind of hit him on the shoulder. This was a couple years ago. Back when the first round was incredible. And Isaiah Thomas not getting suspended after making pretty solid contact. Like, he didn't like punch him, but he kind of just like gave him a little love tap on the head. Like, I don't know how to describe that play, because it wasn't a punch, but it also was more than what Zach Randolph got suspended for. So I don't know.
I think that's why people mention KD getting suspended, but since Isaiah Thomas didn't get suspended, they feel like KD's pretty safe. But that's been a scrappy series as well, Atlanta and Boston. They've had a ton. I felt like they had almost like 4 flagrant fouls called in that game on Friday night. Those teams, I think Boston's upset that I think they lost Avery Bradley, and they need to be chippy and try to get back in the series. And Atlanta seems to just be shooting really well, so I wouldn't be surprised if you see some more tension in that series, especially if that goes 7 games.
Yeah. Well, Boston is normally a really chippy team anyways. I mean, you have Marcus Smart, who's just flopping everywhere. I know I sent you guys that video of him flopping, and Kyle Korver barely nudged him under the basket in Game 3. He literally just flew. And it's just like the flopping is just getting so out of hand. It's like these guys have no pride, and it's so dumb. It's like they're just taking themselves out of basketball plays just in the hopes of getting a foul. And sometimes they get the call, but when it's that bad like that, they don't get that call. The refs aren't, these refs aren't stupid.
Yeah, I'm really happy that social media exists. I'm not a big fan of social media, but I'm happy in this instance because people can clown the hell out of this dude.
Yeah, it's like he needs to stop. He needs to get the NBA. I feel like weren't they issuing kind of like fines and stuff for people who are flopping? I feel like they haven't been doing that anymore.
He got fined.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, he got fined $5,000. But I mean,
That's like nothing.
If you pick up a call and get a win, help get a win for your team, 5K
Yeah.
for these guys is like what?
Yeah, I mean that's like what
Worth-
5K is like $10 for me. I mean, so it's like compared to what they make. So it's like I mean, so. But anyways, I looked it up in case you guys. I wanted to see what the exact definitions were. So flagrant 1 is unnecessary contact committed by a player against an opponent. The opposing team is awarded 2 free throws in possession. Blah blah. Flagrant 2, unnecessary and excessive contact committed by a player against an opponent. I mean, it seems like. I guess it seems like the same. The definition seems like the same thing. Obviously, the result in terms of what the opponent gets is different, but
Just the excessive part. Like,
yeah,
how do you determine what's excessive?
Yeah,
They have a tough job.
and that's
I
also
feel like nowadays, any contact above the head or above the shoulders is deemed unnecessary. Like,
right.
I could be swinging for the ball and you have it above your head and I miss and clip you on the head, and that's unnecessary. Like, no, that I was kind of going for the ball, but
Yeah, and I think the reason why KD got that flagrant 2 is because anything with an open palm or open fist, whatever it is automatically a flagrant 2. I think, and I think that's why he got that, because he swung down with an open fist and hit him in the head. I think it's something like anything with an open palm or whatever above the shoulders on the opponent is automatically flagrant 2.
I mean, you could break a guy's nose doing that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
If you get your elbow on the cheekbone, you could break someone's cheekbone too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get why the rules are in place. You definitely want to see these guys playing basketball and not wrestling out there. So
One thing that I think has an impact on it when they go back and review it is they forget how fast it is in real time compared to like slow-mo. You know, if you're watching a play in real time, like, and you're swinging at somebody and he moves the ball away, he might actually just fake you out and you might end up hitting him in the head. The KD one is obvious, but in other situations, I would say that sometimes it's a basketball play and the guy kind of just fakes him out and he ends up hitting him in the head. You know what I mean? If you're bringing the ball up on the left side and then you bring it over to the right and he's trying to swing across your body and you already committed to trying to block the shot, there's not really much you can do.
yeah, that's true. I mean, it's just like football. It's bang bang.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to, like, these refs do a pretty good job. Like when you watch college basketball, you appreciate the NBA refs a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
college refs are terrible.
Reffing basketball is extremely hard.
Yeah, it is.
Especially at
All
this
levels.
level when the speed is just incredible.
Yeah,
Athleticism is incredible. It's hard to, and like in some of the fouls, like especially when players are going in the air, like there was one last night in the Portland LA Clippers series where CJ McCollum's going to the basket and Chris Paul, he jumps and Chris Paul kind of just hits him on the elbowish area and kind of sends him flying. It looks really bad. The contact wasn't bad at all, and I'm happy the referees did not award CJ McCollum a flagrant foul in that situation.
Did you happen to see Chris Paul after the play?
Yeah, he like hit something and went down.
Well, people were saying that like he possibly was like faking it so he didn't get a flagrant foul. Like he like looked up and landed and then he was like fine. Then all of a sudden he just like put his head down and laid for a second. And I saw people like making memes like when your parents check on you to see if you're sleeping.
NBA's turning into acting now. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I mean, look at LeBron trying to get into Trainwreck and
Yeah.
doing Thunderstruck. I mean, Shaq started it all, man.
Yeah, this is all. They're all auditioning at this point.
Everyone's trying to get a movie role nowadays.
Yeah. One question I wanted to ask you guys is I feel like every year there's like guys who show up in the playoffs and kind of, I guess, make a name for themselves or, expose themselves to. I guess people kind of realize how good they are, or they kind of shine and rise to the occasion. I want to see if there's any guys, from what you've watched in the playoffs so far, if there's any guys that have done that in your mind.
I like what I've seen from Justin Anderson in the OKC Dallas series, the rookie.
Yeah, he's played pretty good. He's played tough D too.
Yeah, he's definitely had some nice moments in that series. I think CJ McCollum, we talked about him all year, getting more exposure, but I think him doing well in the playoffs, especially in the last game, will help, give him some more relevance. Ian Clark had some really good plays for Golden State the other night at the end of the game. There's just it seems like there's always one or two guys on every team that tend to step up.
But yeah, I think both those guys have played pretty well. One guy that I want to talk about a little bit is Valanciunas from Toronto. I think his play, Toronto's always been looking for the past couple of years is they've been looking for that stretch four, and I feel like with the improved play of Biyombo, I wonder if Valanciunas playing so well in the playoffs, if it can kind of create a trade chip for Toronto this summer. Assuming they don't go very far in the playoffs, which the way they're playing against Indiana, I don't see that happening. But I wonder if they'll use that as a trade chip where like they can use him to acquire a power forward, that power forward that they've been looking for. But I don't know if that. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but something I just thought he's played really well, and he's been rebounding really effectively, and he's been efficient from the floor as well in this series.
There was a stretch in the third quarter of Game 4 where Luis Scola was kind of just terrible. He just shot like a few threes and missed, and I think that really made Toronto realize they should have picked up before the trade deadline. I mean, they had opportunities, I think, to pick up one, and they just didn't pull through on the trade, and I think they're probably regretting it now.
Yeah, and Scola is a fine NBA player, but I think with the way the NBA is going in terms of it being so athletic and you got to have that stretch four, he can stretch it a little bit, but he's just not athletic enough to guard these guys on the perimeter. Like he can't guard Jay Crowder. He can't guard Paul Millsap. He's just not quick enough laterally to stay in front of these guys. So I think the way the NBA is going, he can't be your starting power forward. Have they even started him in this series aside from the first couple of games? And I feel like they start him, they play him 10 minutes, and then or the whole game.
Bro, he starts?
Yeah.
Yo, what?
I know.
Well, he's been starting all year.
Yeah, people have been asking for Patrick Patterson to start.
Yeah, I don't know why they
what? I thought Patrick Patterson was the starting four.
No, I think they've been starting Scola the whole. I know they've been starting him the whole year. I haven't watched the beginning of the game stuff to see if he's starting or not, but I think he's been starting the whole series. It's kind of like what Utah did with Raul Neto. They would start him and then play him like 5 minutes, and then they would play like Alec Burks the whole game at point guard or whatever. I think that's what Toronto does. They play Patterson and James Johnson at power forward the whole game, but they start Scola and he plays like 10 minutes the entire game.
Well, but in the playoffs, it seems like they've been playing Scola a little more than they have in the regular season because, in the game yesterday, I was seeing him on the court a good amount. I haven't really seen much of James Johnson.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I haven't. See, I honestly, I watched Game 1, a little bit of Game 2, and that's all I watched of this series. James Johnson played 3 minutes yesterday. Scola played 14.
And you think they would try to maybe play James Johnson a little bit more because he's kind of like a 3-4 tweener, and you could even D him up on Paul George a little bit, give him like a little bit of physicality,
Yeah, well, Indiana is kind of like they haven't quite followed the trend of the rest of the NBA in terms of going really small. They tried it with George, but they're still playing Miles Turner a lot at power forward, and they've been playing Lavoy Allen at power. He didn't play much yesterday, but they've been playing bigger guys at power forward, which is why I think maybe James Johnson hasn't played as much.
Mm-hmm.
But yesterday, Lavoy Allen only got 3 minutes, so it seems like
Turner got the start yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like James Johnson could match up on Turner. I don't know what. I'm not big on Dwayne Casey. I feel like some of the moves he's made, I don't know. Like, why wouldn't you start Patrick Patterson?
The type of guy that you don't trust out there. Like, you don't trust him to make the correct rotation, or you know what I'm saying?
Who, James
I feel
Johnson?
like he has like the physical tools are there. It's just maybe he's just not. Maybe he just isn't able to focus on the game the way you want someone to in the playoffs.
I think during times in the season he's been in Casey's doghouse, and they might have had some issues, so that could be also a reason too.
But as far as people that have stuck out for me, it's kind of tough, man. Like, I don't think anyone has really stuck out besides Paul George.
Yeah,
that's kind of an easy get out of this question answer.
Right. Yeah.
But he's definitely got himself back up to the top.
Yeah.
I will say Mo Harkless has played well for Portland.
Yeah, that's a good guy that I was thinking of. People had written him off, and Portland got him for basically nothing.
Yeah.
I think he was a lottery pick, or like the 17th overall pick with Philly.
I think he was a lottery pick
with Philly, right?
Philly, and then was part of the Dwight Howard trade, I want to say.
He went to Orlando.
Yeah.
And played in Orlando, but didn't do much. And I think he's finally found himself in a good. I mean, he's a good NBA player, especially with the NBA the way it's going. He can be a good stretch four. He's really athletic, and he can stretch the floor a little bit too.
Funny thing about Mo Harkless too is Nick and I, when we were doing, I think you were there too, John. Orlando Magic preview.
Yeah, John was there.
I think John was on that. So when we were doing that, we mentioned that, hey, we didn't like Orlando trading Mo Harkless for a second round pick.
Yeah.
And I think one of the comments on that YouTube video were, no, it was a good trade. That second round pick turned into Shabazz Napier.
Oh God.
So like I haven't responded to that, but I don't think
Wait, is that even right? Shabazz Napier was a first-round pick.
No, but they traded a second-round pick for Napier.
Oh, right. Yeah, oh, God. I mean, Napier was, I think he was all right this year, but
Harkless, I think, ended up starting at the second half of the season for Portland, and last night he had some big moments in the game.
yeah, they ended up doing. I think they ended up moving because they put Vonleh to the bench. I think the last 20 games of the series, and they've been starting Harkless. But Orlando Magic's made some one of the other things we talked about was Kyle O'Quinn basically going to the Knicks for nothing.
Yeah.
It was like a right to swap or something, or like protected through picks 51. I don't understand giving. It's one thing giving away Jose Calderon, but like, why are you giving away young players who are assets? I don't.
Yeah,
understand.
Harkless, I think, is like 22. He's pretty young.
Yeah, I think he left after his freshman year at St. John's.
Yeah, so interesting choice for Orlando, especially like they weren't really competing for the playoffs. So
Yeah.
Orlando's in like a tough spot to where they have to figure out. They have a ton of young guys, and they have to figure out who they actually want to move forward with. Because these young guys get expensive. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
the way that the league is in terms of where people draft now based on potential, a lot of these guys don't reach where you want them to be at the end of their rookie deal.
Yeah.
But they all want major contracts for their second deal. So it's like, all right, well, I have 3 dudes. They're all kind of in the same spot. They haven't progressed the way we initially thought they would when they were 19. Now they're 23. Now we got to figure out, hey, which one is worth the max going in the future? Which one is worth the $80 million? We can't pay them all, obviously. So it's kind of like you got to identify who you want going into the future and as part of your core. And I think Orlando's kind of stuck in that spot to where, hey, we have a lot of young guys. We're not winning. They're developing, but now we got to figure out who we want to move forward with.
exactly, and they don't really have that star. I don't know if any of them are a star player. And the fact is, you kind of want to figure out how good they are before they reach the end of their contract, so you can try to get some value for them. But for Orlando's case, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to, or I'm not really sure how they're going to handle the situation with all the young guys they have there.
Yeah, they have too many guys. Like they have Hazonia was playing backup shooting guard this year, and they got to get him. I mean, he's got to be getting 26 minutes a game at least next year. And they also have Fournier, who's a free agent. They got to decide if they want to bring him back. Then they have Oladipo and Peyton, who are 2 similar players. They got to get rid of one of them, in my opinion. Vucevic is a good franchise cornerstone, and Aaron Gordon is too. But they got to figure out what they want to do with their point guard and shooting guard spot.
I think with Vucevic, you need to pair him with a defensive 4, someone who can really kind of make up for his defensive liability.
Yeah, you need a rim protector.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Gordon can be that. I think he's best as a stretch 4. I don't think he can be a small forward.
I think he would be a good stretch 4 if he could shoot.
Yeah.
It's just like when does he develop his jump shot? I remember watching him Summer League this past summer, and his jump shot was looking really good.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. He's 21, I think, or 20 years old.
Yeah, he's
20
young.
years old.
Young.
So I think he'll be fine. His jump shot is I think is fine for a 20-year-old guy, but I think he'll be fine. I think he's their answer at stretch 4.
So it looks like Orlando should invest in a shooting coach this summer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they have so many guys that can't shoot still.
That's what happens when you have young guys, though. So
Yeah, it's true.
All right, enough about the Orlando Magic.
How did that happen?
I don't know how that happened. Sorry, guys. Talking playoffs, so we got into the Orlando Magic. Hopefully they can make it in the playoffs in the next couple of seasons. But I wanted to move towards the rebrand bracket. So this is a bracket that I came up with, and it's just teams that I think need rebrands, whether it's their jerseys, whether it's their logo, whether it's their court design, just anything along those lines. I thought, hey, maybe this team should switch it up a little bit. I have them all ranked. We can go through the bracket real quick. Let's start in the Western Conference. The number 1 seed, who needs like the biggest rebrand in my opinion, the Pelicans versus the 8th seed, the Kings. And the interesting thing about the Kings is that I believe they're actually introducing a new logo, which I really like. So I just had to throw them on there because they're actually doing it. I thought their uniforms and stuff right now are fine, but since they're actually doing a rebrand, I thought I'd throw them on there. But do you think the Kings can upset the Pelicans?
Yeah, the Kings are kind of like the Knicks, in my opinion, where I think they've just the franchise has been kind of like labeled and surrounded by turmoil for so long that I just think they need a fresh start. But the Pelicans, what I think is, I think the Pelicans need to get that Jazz name back, because everybody thinks about New Orleans, nobody thinks about the damn Pelicans. I don't care if that's the state bird or whatever, but everybody thinks about Jazz or Mardi Gras, whatever.
Right.
So I think if they need to get that New Orleans Jazz nickname back, in my opinion. But I think the Pelicans. So just to make sure, so if we say the Pelicans should advance, then that means they need the rebranding, or does that mean they're
the championship team will need the rebrand the most?
Yeah, but the Pelicans need it more than the Kings. But I think the Kings should be higher than an 8 seed. But yeah, I think the Pelicans need it more.
I think the Pelicans definitely need it more. I mean, the Kings are going to rebrand. I think their stuff is okay right now, but the Pelicans, I'm not I mean, just saying Pelicans, I don't really like it.
Yeah. It's like the jerseys are kind of boring. The name sucks. I like their secondary logo, the NOLA logo. I do like that, but everything else about the Pelicans should be rebranded.
Yeah, that name just does not fit. I like Sacramento's jerseys though. I kind of want them to go back to the old school. I think when Nate Tiny Archwell was there with like the Carolina. They've worn the retros this year, but the Carolina blue and that red. I really like those colors.
Yeah, and also like a lot of these teams that are on here, it's not that they have bad uniforms right now. It's just that they've had better ones in the past. So like they're also being compared to themselves in that sense. So that's why some of these teams are on here. Like for example, in the 4-5 matchup, we have the Utah Jazz and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I have the Wolves on here because I like the uniforms that they had when KG was there as a youngster. I'm not a fan of the current brand that they have, the current uniforms that they have. And the Utah Jazz, I just don't like that colorway. It's kind of miserable in my opinion.
Well, I think Utah. I actually like the Wolves jerseys, but
yeah, I don't think the Wolves jerseys are bad. I just think they've had better ones.
That's you like the ones you like the ones when KG first got there, or you like the ones when they had when they wore the black and blue alternates, or the black alternates and they wore blue, I think mostly, but they had like the green Timberwolf or the green tree on the sleeve. Are those the ones you're talking about?
I'm talking about the ones when KG was leading them to the playoffs.
Yeah.
They had Timberwolves on the jersey. It was kind of sharp. I guess it was like tree-ish a little bit.
It was yeah. They had, because I had that jersey. They have it's a green tree, I think, on the sleeve. But the 02, 03, like around that time, Timberwolves jerseys I was a big fan of. So that's why I have the Wolves on the list. But enough about me justifying why I have these teams on the list. Who do you think advances between the 4th-seeded Jazz and the 5th-seeded Wolves? I think Utah needs to advance. They're another team where it's like, why are you the Jazz? Like, no, whenever someone thinks of, I'm a big believer in, when I hear of a city's name, like the city, I want their nickname to be something that I guess relates to that city. So like Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
I guess a Knickerbocker was like something something in New York in the 90s, whatever, but not really as relevant anymore, I guess. But like Toronto Raptors, like why is Raptors aren't even a real thing? It's a not anymore at least. But Utah, it's like when people see Utah, no one thinks about Jazz. So I'm actually on Wikipedia looking at city nicknames. They could Salt Lake City is the city of the Saints. They could be the Utah Saints. Anything besides Jazz. I agree. I hate their jerseys. Their jerseys are terrible.
Yeah, their color scheme is whack. I'm not a big fan. I like the color scheme that they had with Stockton and Malone in their later years when they had like the glacial blue, purple
with the mountains.
Yeah. I know a lot of people didn't like that, but I thought the blue and the purple just mixed well together. It's better than like the green and like the the crappy gold and whatever the hell they're doing right now.
Yeah, I think I agree the Utah Jazz jerseys kind of suck, and I don't really a fan of all their stuff. But I feel like for the T-Wolves, it would make a lot of sense to rebrand right now when they have Levine, Wiggins, Towns, all these young pieces going forward and help build some more hype, give them that true fresh start. So I'm going with the Wolves.
Okay, so I will be the tiebreaker in this round. And as much as I like to agree with John, I think Nick's point with the youth movement coming up with the Timberwolves, I think that would actually be really nice. So solid point there, Nick. I'm going to agree with you and advance the Wolves on. Moving down, the 3-seeded Rockets against the 6-seeded Mavericks. The Rockets are here because their jerseys are hideous. They've had much better jerseys in the past, and even on their China, as a China New Year appreciation or whatever they do, yeah, I like those all red jerseys. And the Mavericks are here because I miss the green in the Mavericks jerseys a little bit, and also their weird away alternate jerseys with the skyline on the jersey. That's weird. They should get rid of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why these two teams are on here. But who do you think needs to rebrand more?
I honestly think both of these teams really need it. Like Houston has their jersey. The style doesn't match. They're the only team in the NBA that has this style, and it's not a cool style. It's like the jersey. It's like a V-neck, and it's the sleeves are really wide. And then Dallas, they've had the same jerseys for 15 years. One thing I've noticed with the NBA is I feel like NFL teams get new jerseys all the time, and then NBA I feel like teams never get new jerseys, or significantly change their uniforms. I feel like every year the NFL there's a team changing a uniform or they look completely different. But in the NBA it's there's so many teams that I feel like have had the same jerseys for 15 years, and Houston is one of those teams, and then Dallas is one of those teams too. If I had to choose one, I would say Houston because I just really hate their uniforms with the V-neck and the wide sleeves.
Yeah, I think both of these teams kind of suck jersey-wise, so I guess I'll just agree with John and go with the Rockets.
Yeah, I hate the Rockets jerseys. I love the Chinese New Year ones they had last year. They're all red. They were sleeved, but I think if they just took that design, cut off the sleeves and got rid of the Chinese lettering and just put Houston or Rockets on there or something, I think those would look great. My opinion though.
I'd like to see them combine, somehow maybe combine the ones where they had with the blue and the pinstripe when Steve Francis first got there, and then combine those with the old school Houston ones when they won the championships. I think that would be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool. I wasn't against the Steve Francis ones. They're different, but I wasn't against those. All right. 2nd seeded Clippers, 7th seeded Thunder. Clippers are here because I don't need to go into that. They deserve their number 2 seed here. The Thunder are here kind of just because what the hell is their logo? I guess it's kind of hard to make a logo of Thunder, but what the hell is that thing? I think it looks all right, but it just doesn't make sense with the moniker.
Yeah.
Who needs to rebrand more?
The Thunder's jerseys are fine. Saying Oklahoma City Thunder is just kind of weird. I don't know
about the jerseys though. That vertical blue jersey that they have with the vertical lettering.
Yeah.
Alternate, that thing sucks. I hate it.
Okay. You like the one where they just have the OKC logo, the white home ones, right?
Yeah. I love the sleeved ones. I wish they weren't sleeved, but I love just the simple OKC logo and the white. I think that looks great.
Yeah. I'm not big on the Thunder nickname just because it's weird to say it, but I think it makes sense in the sense that, it's supposed to be like a herd, right? A herd of bison, isn't that what it's supposed to be?
I think so.
Like a thunderous herd, because that's why they have the bull.
The logo that they have.
Yeah, yeah. The Clippers, I don't understand why they're the Clippers. They were another team a long time ago, right? Were they Buffalo, or they were the Buffalo Braves and they... I don't know.
I have no idea.
That logo is horrible, though. Anytime you create a new logo and it's 10 times worse than the old one, you're doing something really weird.
There are plenty of fan-made ones that actually involve sailboats or ships or whatever the hell a Clipper actually is.
Yeah.
But Like the thing that they came up with is hideous, and their mascot is kind of weird. It's just
Yeah,
they rebranded last year, and I think they badly need another one.
I think the rebrand last year was just a complete fail. Like
Yeah.
nobody really liked it. Nobody really likes the New Jerseys. No one likes the colors they picked or the logo they have. So I definitely have to go with the Clippers because I feel like if you fail that bad, you need to make a change soon.
Yeah, I'm just going to advance the Clippers on forward. I don't think we need to talk anymore about how terrible their stuff is. All right,
Okay.
let's move to the Eastern Conference. Wizards are the 1 seed. Knicks are the 8 seed. Wizards are here because I hate their jerseys. Their jerseys are hideous. It's hard to even see like the lettering and the names on them when you're watching on TV. The Knicks are here because I kind of like their old uniforms a little bit better than the new ones. A couple years ago they changed like the font and stuff. I personally like the old uniform style better, but that might just be me. So that's why they're the 8th seed. Wizards or Knicks? Who needs to rebrand more?
I've gone back and forth with the Wizards. I actually like. The only thing I don't like is their team nickname. I'm not big on Wizards. I think they can come up with something a little bit better because you have the Washington Capitals, you have the Washington Nationals, Washington Redskins need to change obviously, but I'm okay with them, and I like their jerseys. The Knicks, though, I think they've been surrounded by turmoil for so long. They need to kind of change something up, and they didn't change. They changed their jerseys about 4 years ago, but there wasn't that big of a change. I like their hardwood classics. I like how they have the pattern of the orange and blue alternating on the sleeves and on the neckline. I think those are pretty cool. They've worn those a few times this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with I think the Wizards need to rebrand. I agree with Parth. I'm not a big fan of their jerseys, especially just because I feel like a lot of teams around the league have nice jerseys and theirs are just terrible. The Knicks ones I'm okay with. I mean, they could probably use a rebrand, just like because they've had a rough patch, but I think the Wizards probably need it more.
All right, we're gonna advance the Wizards here, but the Knicks. I think John makes a good point. They could use a rebrand just because of the turmoil. All right, moving on. 4 and 5 matchup. The Orlando Magic are the 4 seed, and it's not that I don't like their jerseys. It's that I really like the pinstripe jerseys back when Shaq and Penny were there. And I think watching this Magic moment just solidified that for me, just reinforced that. Yeah, I really like those pinstripe jerseys. So the Magic are 4 here. The Hawks are 5th, kind of just because a lot of people don't like their new look. They rebranded last year. I personally didn't like it at first, and it really grew on me, and I do like it now. But a lot of people don't like it, so Atlanta's 5th here. Who needs to rebrand more?
I like both these teams' jerseys. I'm gonna choose Atlanta though. The only reason why is because I'm not big. I like their jersey design from the neon. The neon is the one thing that I don't like. I think if they had a regular yellow in there, I would be cool with it. So I'm just gonna go with Atlanta. I like Orlando's jerseys a lot, and I preferably would not want them to go back to the old school ones because I think it would just look too old. Today, I think when teams try to go back to old school uniforms, it just doesn't look right. I think you have to find a way to take some of the elements of the old school uniform and then combine it with the new school uniform in a way.
Fair point.
Yeah, see, I'm gonna agree with Parth on this one. Atlanta, at first, I did not like their jerseys, but then watching them in the playoffs the other day, and I think they gave out neon green shirts for the playoff games, and I thought that was kind of cool. So I'm gonna say Orlando needs to rebrand. I'm starting to like Atlanta's new style.
Yeah, I like Atlanta's new style too. I do agree with John with the neon though. I don't know. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. I guess it just depends. But I do like all their new uniforms, the new court. I like all that stuff. So, but I also agree with John in this sense that Orlando might not want to go back to the pinstripes, but maybe find a solid medium. I think they could find. I think they have that now, but I think they could do it better. So I'm gonna move the Magic on forward. All right, the 3-seeded Indiana Pacers against the 6-seeded Miami Heat. The Indiana Pacers are kind of here because I love Bankers Life. I love their arena, but they're here because they've had better jerseys in the past too. I really like the Flojos. I really like the pinstripes. I hate the jerseys that they have now. I really wish they would go back to the Flojos. The Miami Heat are here kind of just because I feel like they can't decide on what jersey they want to go with this year. They've worn everything. And I personally like the the original Miami home white, the away black, and the alternate red. I really like those three that they wear right now. But they've been wearing some Army stuff this year. They've like changed their home jerseys, which they've been playing with in the playoffs. So yeah, I don't know what they want. They might want to rebrand. I personally don't think they need it, but that's why they're on here.
Yeah, I agree. I think Miami. I like both these teams' brands in the sense that I like their nickname. And I think I'm going to say Indiana because I like what you said about them. I think they had some better jerseys in the past. I like the old the Flojos were nice. Miami, I agree with you that they need to pick a jersey and stop wearing like 30 different jerseys. But I don't think that is enough to move them past Indiana.
Yeah, I think the Heat have pretty good jerseys, like you said, Parth, but they just need to kind of choose which ones they're going to wear. I think the Pacers need it more.
All right, we're moving paces on forward. The final team, or the final matchup in the first round, the 2-seeded Brooklyn Nets against the 7-seeded Toronto Raptors. The Nets are here because they're just a knockoff of the Spurs, and they aren't nearly as good. It's just a boring rebrand that they did. Shout out to Jay-Z for making the Nets worse than they already were. And the Raptors are here. Shoot, I don't even know why the Raptors are here, to be honest. I really love their rebrand, but I do miss a little bit of that purple dino kind of stuff that they had in the past. So we'll use that as a reason to throw them on here. We missed the purple, but 2-7 matchup. Who do you have advancing?
I'm gonna say I like. I mean, Brooklyn's a new team. I don't think there's anything wrong with. I mean, maybe change the Nets teams or Nets nickname, if anything. Make it something more relatable with Brooklyn. I think would be cool. Toronto, I like their new uniforms. I'm just not big on. I've never been big on the Raptors nickname, even though the old, the old Barney uniforms were awesome. But this is tough for me. I guess I'll say Brooklyn, since Toronto just had a rebrand.
See, I like the Nets jerseys, and they've been pretty popular in New York. I know after the first year they made the change, they were like top 5 in sales after being last. And I know you talk about the Nets being like the Spurs, but the Raptors actually copied the Nets on a lot of their logos and some of their jerseys. And the Nets, like, I think they tweeted something on their Twitter account, and like a picture of them next to each other. And it was like shaking my head.
Oh, the same lettering and the same style?
Yeah, I can send you the link real quick.
Yeah, I know. You don't need to. I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, and then they unleashed their new jerseys the same way the Nets did. Jay-Z walked out in like a Brooklyn Nets jersey, and then Drake did the same thing with a Raptors jersey.
That's funny. I didn't catch that. That's funny.
Yes, I mean, and especially like the circular logos they have, they almost look exactly the same. So I'm going obviously with the Raptors.
So I'm gonna go with the upset here and go with the Raptors. Kind of along the lines of what Nick said, but also there were some fan-made Raptors jerseys that incorporated the purple alternates, and then just looked better than the current ones that they have. It's on Twitter somewhere. I guess we can post a link on the pod, but yeah, I really like those Raptors rebrands. I think they're fan-made, and I wish they would have went with that over the current ones. So I'm gonna move Toronto up, even though I do like their current jerseys, and I like the Drake Knight black and gold stuff that they do. But just for the fact alone that the fan-made ones are better, we're gonna move the Raptors forward. Second round, Pelicans Wolves.
I think Pelicans without question. I wasn't big on the T-Wolves moving past Utah, anyways.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Pelicans. I think their stuff's just bad.
Yep.
Like I said.
Agreed. Rockets Clips.
Ooh, definitely Rockets. I hate the Clippers' new stuff, but the Rockets need it more than the Clippers do.
This is a tough one. I'm gonna go with the Clippers because I just think if you fail so bad at the rebrand, you kind of just need to make the change. Because I don't think it's growing on anybody. I think it's just bad.
Yeah, I like the white Clippers uniforms, but everything other than that, like the logo is trash. I think at least the Rockets have a decent logo. So I'm gonna move the Clips forward.
Well, the thing with the Clippers, like, first of all, I don't like the black. Where did that come from?
Yeah, the black is whack.
It's never been in their franchise, I don't think. Maybe when they were the Braves or something. But it's like I don't think a rebrand is realistic because they just did one, so it might have to be a few years before they do one. They might have to just suck it up and be really terrible for a year or two.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Financially, it might not be in their best interest to rebrand immediately after they did one.
Yeah.
That's a good point. We're gonna move them forward, but that's a good point by John. Should have thought about that.
Steve Ballmer, Scott, he's got the money.
Yeah, he does have the money. No doubt about that. All right, Wiz Magic.
Man,
These are teams you both kind of like, John.
I like the Wizards and I like the Magic, but I guess I'll say the Wizards, just because of the name. I like everything about the Magic. I just don't like the Wizards nickname. So we'll go with Washington.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Wizards as well. Like we've said, we don't like the jerseys.
All right, Indiana, Toronto.
Let's go then. Let's go with Indiana.
Yeah, I think the Pacers could kind of use a splash.
Yeah, they need to go back to the Flojos, in my opinion. I love those jerseys. All right, Final Four. Pelicans, Clippers, Wizards, Indiana. Between the Pelicans and Clippers, who needs to rebrand more?
Pelicans, without question.
Yeah, I think they definitely need the rebrand. They need the new name, the new jerseys, kind of set a new vibe after all these injury-filled seasons too.
Yeah, and the new name, like John mentioned, they need to find a way to get the Jazz out of Salt Lake. And in the East, the Wizards or the Pacers?
I'm gonna go with. I think both these teams need it, but I'm gonna go with Washington. I think I'm gonna go with the Wizards over Indiana.
Yeah, I think being in such a big city, Washington needs to really step up their game.
All right, the battle for the championship for who needs this rebrand more. The Pelicans or the Wizards?
I mean, Pelicans. I don't know if there was ever a team that had a real shot at beating them in this bracket, but the Pelicans need it the most.
Yeah, the Pelicans definitely needed that. Nobody likes the name Pelicans, so they need to make that change.
So Tom Benson, if you're listening to this podcast, which you probably are not.
Hopefully he's not. Hopefully he has better.
Hopefully he's not. You need to rebrand this team, bro. This is terrible. Shout out to the Pelicans for being the worst branded team in the NBA.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that likes those uniforms or that nickname, besides maybe the owner.
Yeah, it's terrible. You would say Saints, but New Orleans Saints are already a thing in football, so
Yeah.
can't do that.
And I'm happy for, like, I think it's good for the city that they have a team, but they don't get, like, any fans. I wonder if they should even have a team in New Orleans anymore. I mean, they just put it there, like, 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Whenever the Hornets first got there, like, 4 years ago.
No, they've been there for a while. I think they
because they left Charlotte like 10. Yeah, they left Charlotte like 10 years ago and went to New Orleans.
right, and then they had to move to Oklahoma City
Yeah.
for Katrina.
That's-
But yeah,
okay.
I'd be fine with the Pelicans or whatever, the NOLA team moving to Seattle.
Yeah, they
Throwing it out
definitely.
there.
Yeah, Seattle needs a team. I think there's some other places. I think like Canada could use another team. But
Yeah, I'd be fine with that too.
get Montreal a team.
Give
Yeah.
who a team?
Montreal or Quebec or something.
Vancouver Grizzlies return.
Vancouver, yeah, get Vancouver a team again.
All right, guys, we ran out of time. Won't be able to do the coaches, but we hope you enjoyed our playoff talk and our rebrand bracket. Nick, John, do you guys have anything else to say?
No, hopefully the playoffs can improve upon what's already been going on. They've been pretty slow, as we've already said. So hopefully we can get some better entertainment from the playoffs.
Yeah, that wraps it up for me. Thanks everybody for listening, and enjoy the rest of the playoffs.